Peru. It is a country written in layers. Mountains rise like ancient guardians, deserts stretch into the horizon, rivers cut deep into the earth, and cities balance on the edge of history and modern life. When most people hear Peru, they think of Machu Picchu, but Peru is much more than one wonder. It's an entire world compressed into a single country, waiting to be read like an open book of landscapes. The Andes are not just mountains, they are the spine of Peru, a backbone of stone that splits the country into worlds. On one side, the lush Amazon, on the other, the dry Pacific coast, and in between, valleys and plateaus where civilizations carved out life against all odds. Standing here, the air feels thinner, the silence heavier. Every breath reminds you this is a place of altitude and endurance, yet it's also a place of incredible colour. Women weaving textiles with alpaca wool dyed in reds, blues and yellows, markets bursting with potatoes, thousands of varieties that only exist here in these soils. But the Andes are more than a postcard. They're a living archive. Every terrace carved into the hillsides, every stone trail that zigzags upward, tells a story of people who didn't just adapt to the mountains, they thrived in them. Machu Picchu may be the most famous symbol of this adaptation, a city in the clouds, aligned with the sun and the stars. But travel beyond it, and you'll find countless ruins, villages, and hidden valleys where life still pulses in rhythm with the land. From the heights of the Andes, drop westward and the land changes dramatically. Suddenly, the green vanishes, the air dries out. Peru's coast is a paradox, a desert that stretches endlessly, yet hugs the richest ocean on the planet. Here, the Pacific isn't just water, it's a force of life. The cold Humboldt Current brings nutrients that feed vast schools of fish, colonies of seabirds, and even sea lions lazing on rocky shores. And then, suddenly, in the middle of this endless desert, water appears, Huacachina, a tiny emerald oasis embraced by dunes that rise like waves of sand. It feels like a mirage. Palm trees reflected in a still lagoon, surrounded by one of the driest regions on Earth. But the coast also hides mysteries. Look down from the air and you'll see shapes carved into the desert floor. Monkeys, hummingbirds, spiders, the Nazca Lines. They've been here for over 1,000 years, untouched by rain or wind. Their purpose? Still debated, but standing near them, you feel the desert whisper questions we may never answer. And then there are the coastal cities. Lima, the capital, sprawls like a tapestry of contradictions. Colonial balconies, modern skyscrapers, and endless food markets. If the coast feels like emptiness, and the Andes like stone, then the Amazon is the opposite, an overwhelming abundance. The rainforest covers more than half of Peru. It's a world of green so dense it almost swallows you whole. Rivers twist, like serpents through the jungle. Each turn hides something unexpected. Pink river dolphins, giant lilies the size of tables, and villages built on stilts above the rising waters. Life here moves differently. The forest dictates the rhythm. The rains flood, the sun scorches, and everything adapts. Scientists call this region one of the most biodiverse corners of the planet. But to the communities who live here, it's simply home. High in the southern Andes lies a lake that feels almost impossible. Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world. At over 3,800 meters, the air is thin, but the water stretches wide like an inland sea. Here, the horizon feels infinite. And life is shaped by the water. The Uros people, for example, still build floating islands made of reeds, entire homes, schools and boats drifting gently on the lake's surface. Walking on one feels like stepping onto a living raft. Lake Titicaca is a place where myth and reality blur. In Inca legend, it was here that the first humans emerged, sent by the sun god. Standing by its shores at dawn, you can see why. The rising light feels almost otherworldly. Peru's landscapes are not only carved by mountains and rivers, they are etched into its cities, where stone and history meet daily life. Cusco, once the capital of the Inca Empire, still wears its past proudly. Spanish cathedrals rise above. Inca stone walls, cobblestone streets wind past bustling markets, and every plaza hums with centuries of human activity. Life here is a blend of tradition and the present, artisans weaving textiles, vendors selling local foods, and children playing. Along streets carved by history, walking through Cusco, you feel the rhythm of the Andes woven into everyday life, a city alive with the echoes of its past, yet moving forward with its people. Travel westward to Lima, and the story shifts dramatically. The city stretches along. The Pacific, where cliffs meet the surf, modern towers rise above colonial architecture, and street markets pulse with energy. Lima embodies Peru's modern face, a hub of commerce, art and gastronomy. Together, Cusco and Lima tell the story of Peru itself. One city rooted in mountains, tradition and culture, the other alive with coastal modernity, movement and innovation. Both cities reveal the country's complex character, a land where ancient civilizations continue to influence daily life, and modernity pushes boldly into the future. Peru is not just landscapes of mountains, rivers and deserts, it is also a tapestry of traditions, woven across centuries and still alive today. In the Andes, festivals mark the cycles of nature. Farmers celebrate the planting and harvest seasons, with colourful processions, music and dances that have been passed down through generations. These ceremonies are not just performance, they are a dialogue with the mountains, rivers and sky. Every drumbeat, every step, echoes respect for the land that sustains life. Textiles, too, are a living tradition. Artisans dye alpaca and llama, wool with natural colours, weaving patterns that tell stories of ancestors, myths, and local landscapes. Each thread becomes a record of a culture rooted deeply in place. Along the coast and in the cities, markets overflow with produce, herbs, and ingredients for traditional dishes. Cooking in Peru is an expression of heritage. Ceviche, anticuchos, and tamales are more than food. They are a bridge between past and present, between community and nature. Even music and dance carry the pulse of Peru's history. The rhythms of the charango, pan flute, and cajon tell stories of pre-Columbian civilizations, Spanish influence, and modern life coexisting in harmony. In every festival, every market, every home, tradition is not preserved as relics, but lived and breathed, daily. Peru's traditions remind us that culture is inseparable from landscape. The mountains, deserts, and rivers shape practices, and practices in turn give life to the land. To witness these customs is to understand the human side of Peru, people living in connection with the earth, history, and each other. So what makes Peru unique? It's not just the Andes or the Amazon or the desert coast, it's the way these landscapes converge. Few countries compress so much diversity into such little space. In a single day, you can travel from snow-capped peaks to steaming rainforest, from desert sands to fertile valleys. And through it all, culture flows like a river between mountains. From the Quechua communities weaving patterns that reflect the constellations, to the fishermen on the Pacific who rise before dawn, to the cooks in Lima blending flavors from land and sea. Peru isn't just a country you visit, it's a country that transforms how you think of landscapes as living, breathing, evolving forces. Peru teaches us something simple yet profound, that landscapes are not just backgrounds for human life. They're the very stage where history, culture, and identity are performed. Every mountain peak, every desert line, every jungle path is part of a larger story. And to walk through Peru is to walk through that story, one carved not just in stone and earth, but in the people who continue to live in harmony with it. So when you think of Peru, don't just think of Machu Picchu. Think of deserts that whisper secrets. Think of forests that breathe life. Think of lakes that hold myths in their reflection. Think of cities that rise like landscapes of their own. Because Peru is not just a destination, it's a conversation between nature and humanity, one that has been ongoing for centuries, and one that still invites us to listen. Thank you for joining us. We are Unreal Places with a simple mission to share the wonders of nature from every corner of the world. Please subscribe if these journeys bring you peace. Thank you.